Dashcams. Good idea? Bad idea? No idea? Well, in this video I'm going to give you my opinion on dashcams. Hi, I'm Andy and this is the Q4 channel and I'm talking from the shed. So in this video I'm going to talk about dashcams, but before I get into that I just want to say thank you so much for all of you who've already subscribed to this channel, have left a comment, who've given me a like. I really do appreciate it. It means so much to me. Thank you very much to all of you. But of course you know what's coming next. If you haven't already subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the bell icon as well, that way you won't miss out on any future content. And always leave a like, leave a comment. It means so much to me just to hear what you've got to say. So let's get into this video, dashcams. Dashcams are one of those things that you don't know you want or need until you've got one. My first dashcam was an impulse buy. I was at the service station. I noticed they were on sale, £20 for a dashcam. It came with everything. It came with the leads, it came with the mounting sucker to stick to the window, a flip down screen, it was in HD, it took a large memory SD card. And I thought to myself, £20, it's not a lot, I'll get one. And I'm so glad I did. Not because I was involved in an accident or anything, but it changes the way you drive when you've got a dashcam. First of all, because you've got a dashcam, you notice a lot of bad behaviour on the road, and you're thinking, oh, got that on the dashcam, oh, got that on the dashcam. And when you look at the footage, you can laugh again at something you've seen on the road. But also, you drive better when you've got a dashcam. Now, I'm not a particularly bad driver because, as I've said in previous videos, I'm a test driver. I test drive prototype cars and I test them both on the track and I test them also on the road. Now, when I take out a test car on the road, usually it's logged up. That means it's logging everything I'm doing in that car. Sometimes it has cameras in there, sometimes multiple cameras. And the reason for that is because the manufacturers want not just my feedback, but if I happen to say this car behaved in this way under these conditions, they can look back over the footage to the point where I said that something happened. Sorry, they're able to see the logger's data at that time. They're able to match the two up, my report with what the car was doing and how it was behaving. If it's got cameras in, they can see how I was driving the vehicle, also what the road and weather conditions were like. So I'm used to driving a car that is logged up and cameraed up anyway. And in that scenario, you can never speed, you can never really do anything untoward that you shouldn't be doing on the road. And it makes you a better driver. So therefore, when I get in my own car, I drive the same way. Because it's drummed into you over time that you can't go faster than the speed limit. And that's another thing as well. It's a speed limit, not a target. Okay? Anyway, so when I got my first dashcam and popped it in, I found that I was doing exactly the same as I was when I was testing vehicles. I was driving better, I was more courteous. So just for that alone, I think everybody should have a dashcam. But that's just my opinion on the driving on our roads has become poorer. But there's another side to it as well. What if you were stationary at a set of lights, a junction or something, and somebody back-ended you, ran into the back of you? Well, they could turn around and say you reversed into them. It's a he said, she said sort of scenario. But if you've got a dashcam, it'll show that you were stationary and then all of a sudden, bang, the car was hit. There's no more he said, she said. And that's the same in every scenario if you happen to be in an accident. There's no more he said, she said. He said, she said, she said. There's no more of that. There's no more right, hand it over to the insurance companies and let them sort it out among themselves. You can quite simply say to your insurance company, oh no, I wasn't at fault, and here's the footage. The camera never lies. And they will take that footage. Also, if the other person who was at fault, who ran into you, whether it's back-ended, you pulled out of the side street, whatever, is then lying to the insurance company and saying you were at fault and you've got footage to prove you weren't at fault, not only will you not be blamed for the accident and therefore the other person's insurance company will pay out, but also they'll be in a heck of a lot of trouble. And this is another advantage of the dash cam. It stops a lot of argument. If you're at the side of the road, something's happened, somebody's ran into you, and you pull over, and they're yawping and yelling, and whoa, what were you doing, what were you playing at, you did that. All you have to do is point to your windscreen and say, it's all on dash cam, mate, so don't lie. And it takes the wind out of that sail. It takes the heat out of that argument. If you've ever watched any dashcam footage on YouTube, there are plenty of channels that do it. A lot of the time you think to yourself, what on earth was that person playing at? I mean, they're not always crashes, it's near misses a lot of the time, or inappropriate overtakes, or sometimes you've caught on the camera a police chase where somebody literally has driven the car like they've stolen it because they have stolen it. And they come flying past everybody, wrong side of the road, through red lights. And you think, what the heck's going on? And then you see the blues and twos coming up, and you've caught that on your dash cam. And here's another advantages of dash cam. In that scenario, sometimes the police put out there investigating a murder, a rape, a violent assault, a stabbing, a shooting, whatever, bank robbery, jewellery. It doesn't really matter, but sometimes they'll put a call out that anybody in that area who happens to have a dash cam at around that time, could they please check their footage? Because you don't know what you might have picked up. Something innocuous that you might have picked up on your dash cam at the side of the road, something that happened, it turns out to be a key piece of information that helps break the crime. You might have picked up the registration number of the getaway vehicle. And let's be honest, criminals are not particularly bright. It might be one of them's car. Or they're able to chase where the car was stolen, therefore gives them another route of leads, and therefore the dash cam, your little bit of footage, might have picked up something that breaks wide open a case and you didn't even know. But if you haven't got a dash cam, you can't help. If you haven't got a dash cam, he said, she said. If you haven't got a dash cam, maybe you'll drive more like a spanner than you should. And here's the last thing about dash cams, as far as I'm concerned. It's yours. And what I mean by that is, it's your dash cam, so if it's picked up that you were at fault, who's to say that dash cam was working? I mean, it's there for your advantage. You're not going to it would be like admitting liability, going, yeah, it's my fault, I did everything, which would be the adult thing to do. It would be the moral and right thing to do. If you ran into somebody or cut somebody up and caused an accident, to stand and say, yeah, that was my fault, I was being a bit of a plum. But let's be honest, we're always taught from the cradle almost, you never admit liability in an accident, even if you were at fault. That's what insurance companies are there for. Let them argue it out. So although it would be the moral and the adult and the grown-up thing to do, we don't do it, do we? And if the dash cam happens to pick up that your dash cam picks up that you were at fault in an accident, and also they're not called accidents now. They used to be called RTAs, road traffic accidents. But they took away the accident part because it implies that nobody's to blame. Well, in every collision and every incident, somebody's to blame. So now they're called RTCs, road traffic collisions. So in any collision, you find out that you were the one who was being a complete and utter plank, but it's your dash cam and that's the only one that's picked up footage, oh dear, the SD card's gone. I forgot to put one in this morning, or I didn't plug it in, it's not switched on. It's yours. I'm not condoning acting like a complete and utter spanner and driving like a plum on the roads. I'm not advocating any of that, but sometimes we do get it wrong. And if it's your dash cam, then it's your footage. Whether you volunteer it or not, it's up to you. And here's the other thing as well. Maybe in this scenario you could also be a good Samaritan. That means you weren't directly involved in the collision. Two cars in front of you collided, but you picked it up on your dash cam. Now, insurance companies always say, were there any witnesses? So you're not only a witness, but you've got footage of who was at fault. So you could say to both drivers, I caught everything on the dash cam. Their arguing takes the argument, takes the heat out of that argument, like I was saying earlier. And the person who feels aggrieved, which will probably be both of them, will ask you to email the footage to them. And then they can pass it on to their insurance companies and they sort out who was to blame. So, as I said, it's one of those things that you don't really know you need or want until you've kind of got one. And then when you've got one, you can't imagine not having one. Just recently, my dash cam, the one I had, the £20 one, I've had it for over 2 years. And it's started to fall apart and not work very well, so I'm upgrading it this year to a new one. But until I do, it's still functional, it's just a bit glitchy. And here's another thing, it's getting to that time of year, Christmas is just round the corner. Have you ever thought of giving a dash cam as a present? Maybe to your father, or your mother, or your wife, or your husband, or your son, daughter, a friend, a close friend, an acquaintance. But when you can buy them so cheaply, it seems more of a gift than it is. If you unwrap that and you see that digital piece of, and it's got all the stuff in there, you know, it's got the mount, and it's got the camera, and the only other thing that you'd have to buy usually is the SD card, but you could buy one of those, you could pick one up fairly cheaply. I mean, it's a good idea to give a present with everything they need for it to work. It would be like giving a child a battery operated toy and not having the batteries in there. I mean, that's just cruel. But it's the sort of thing that gets overlooked as well, doesn't it? You know, you give a toy and it needs batteries and you assume the batteries are in there and you didn't read the sign, it said batteries not included. So therefore the child goes, oh great, fun, and have we got any AA batteries or AAA battery? No. Well, I can't use it. Well, it would be the same thing with a dash cam, wouldn't it? Oh great, oh, is the SD card in there? No. Oh well. The shops are shut, I can't really use it now, can I? But, so just remember, get an SD card as well. Unless it has one in there. I mean, the more expensive things, and they are cheap to very expensive. You kind of get what you buy. You kind of get what you pay for, sorry. It's one of those incidents where, you know, you kind of buy in better, it'll last longer. Mine, £20 lasting 2 years, I think that's pretty darn good, and I'm not going to complain that now it's starting to get a little bit glitchy and play up, and I'm going to upgrade it. But if I hadn't have had that £20 dash cam, I wouldn't have realised that I'm kind of miss it now that it's starting to play up, and I'm thinking, right, I'm not going to go without one, I'm just going to get a better one this time. So that's my views on Dashcam. Maybe you agree with me, maybe you disagree. Leave a comment down below, give me a like, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon so that you don't miss out on future content. But I do think that generally dashcams are a good idea, and I hope you agree with me. So anyway, that's enough talking about dashcams. Let's have a little bit of humour. And this little bit of humour was donated to me by you, Carl. So there's a guy in North America. He gets home and he finds he's got a bear on the roof of his house. He thought, how did that get up? What am I supposed to do now? So he looks through his yellow pages, and sure enough, in the yellow pages, there's a bear removal service. And he thinks, well, it makes sense, we've got bears around here. Must be not the only one who wanted them to be got off the property. So he rings up and the guy says, yeah, what's your problem? He says, I've got a bear on the roof of my house. He says, don't worry, I'll be there shortly. So this guy rocks up in a huge van, and out the back of the van he gets a big ladder, a baseball bat, a shotgun, and then the last item, this gnarly, scratched up, mean, vicious looking Rottweiler. And the guy goes, what are you gonna do? Says the homeowner. And the guy says, well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this ladder up against your roof. I'm gonna go up there with this baseball bat. He says, and then I'm gonna knock the bear off the roof. When it lands on the ground, that dog is gonna run in and grab the bear by its balls, and that dog doesn't let go. That'll calm the bear right down. It'll be so placid then it doesn't want to lose its tackle. And while it's in that state, I'll be able to manhandle it into the back of the van, and we'll drive away. Your problem's solved. He goes, oh yeah, that sounds great. He says, what's this shotgun for? He goes, oh yeah. And he hands the homeowner the shotgun. He goes, what am I supposed to do with this? He goes, when I'm up on that roof, if that bear knocks me off the roof first, please shoot the dog. He wouldn't want to lose his balls. Anyway, as always, you people, be happy, be healthy, but above all else, take care of yourself, because if you don't, who will? Goodbye now.